This episode of the podcast is brought to you by our partner, Audible.
Yes, it is. So we are partnered with Audible. That means that if you are looking just to check it out, you don't want to put your card in and just take the dive. You can get 30 days for free on us if you go to audibletrial.com/JATG or click the link down below. You'll be taken there. You can sign up for 30 days for free and just test it out. Like there's a lot of stuff on there that you can get for free, a lot of Audible exclusives. But what I really like about Audible is that out of the hundreds and thousands of audiobooks that they have, if you decide to purchase something, that is yours forever. Like if you decide not to carry on your subscription or you want to take a break or whatever it is, you can always go back and listen to that book whenever you want through the app on the internet. Doesn't matter because it's yours. So once again, you can get that for 30 days for free on us if you go to audibletrial.com/JATG.
No, yeah, I'm just playing music. I don't know if anybody can hear that except me.
No, I don't know.
Nobody
Probably not. You should turn it
Okay.
off before we get swatted for
All right. Anywho,
copyright infringement.
if you guys haven't guessed by now, the fedora is being worn, which means the Greg and I have watched Indiana Jones 5. Hello out there, all of you podcast people, Johnny and the Greg. We are live on Facebook. So if you can give us a like, give us a share, tell your friends about us. If you missed the live version, we always drop our episodes on Thursdays at 12 p.m. on YouTube and all of your podcasting listening platforms.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to throw this out there. If you don't like whatever your chosen platform is, if you don't see us on there, drop us a message. Let us know, because really we are supposed to be on everything, but sometimes you find out stuff hasn't been posted in certain places because of, some change in a user agreement that we didn't click yes on yet. So let us know and we will fix that. And then you can have our full catalog.
Very good. I've had this hat on for exactly not even a minute and it's already pretty hot. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Anywho, Greg.
What's up?
What'd you think?
What'd I think of it?
What'd you think of it?
I am pretty fresh. I'm only a couple hours out.
I am 24 hours out.
24 hours out? Okay, well, you got more. You've pondered on it a little bit more.
I actually did.
Than I have. So my initial is
walking out of the theater.
I liked it. It's a 2.5 hour film.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is about, I'd say 15 to 20 minutes too long.
Agreed.
They could have, there's an extended chase scene through the streets of Morocco that I literally go, they could have cut some of this. I mean, you need the chase scene in there. It's part of the story. It's a good part of the story.
Yes.
And there's some cool moments in the chase scene, but after a while you're like, man, are they going to get, like, it's in the middle of the film.
Mm-hmm.
No one's going to die. No one's going to get maimed. We know this.
Right.
But as a moviegoer, you're like, oh, okay, this could have been shorter.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that. No real big gripes. It's an Indiana Jones movie. It's formulaic. Like you get the idea. And if you go into it with that in mind, you are going to have a good time with it.
I agree. I liked it. I don't think it was the best one out there, but it's definitely not the worst one out there. And
yes. Yep.
For that, I'm grateful. I want to throw out a big shout out to James Mangold, who I think to take on Indiana Jones after Steven Spielberg and to do it, to take on somebody else's project and do it his style.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. It is.
I don't think
there
Mangold
are a couple
gets enough credit for how good of a director he is.
There's a couple Mangoldy things in there that I do you recall the shot where they pan over to the donkey? it's I believe in the chase scene in Morocco. It's in Morocco. I don't know if it's right, but
Okay.
there's like something happens and then they just pan the camera over and we land just looking at this donkey, like right square in the camera. Here's this donkey's face. And I'm like,
I don't remember that at
that
all.
was weird.
Okay, I don't
And
remember that at all.
yeah, I'm talking with Matt at that point, and it's just, yeah, he was like, well, James Mangold, man, that's just kind of what he does. And I was like, yeah, what has he directed again? And I got home, looked at him, I was like, okay, yeah, that's.
But have you looked at his direction? Like he's not in one genre. He goes to almost every.
Yeah, yep.
Which is pretty impressive.
It is impressive, and I think that's important. I think it's like any other artist. Like if you see a painter or a guy who draws, or even like a musical person, like they should be able to perform multiple styles of music or multiple mediums. I mean, that's, I think that's a thing you do. And just looking at like the first top things he's known for right now, Walk the Line, which is the Man in Black, Johnny Cash story, Ford versus Ferrari,
right?
Which is, obviously Ford versus Ferrari, very interesting and kind of stylized movie. And then Logan, the last Wolverine film.
Yep. He also did a horror movie.
Oh, where's that? He's got. I'm looking. He did Call of the Wild, which I did not watch. Greatest Showman. These are all his producing credits. His.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
Well, there's that's a ring. I'm like, do I have someone at my door or is someone outside my door? Sorry. So I mean, where's his directing credits? Writer. Oh, come on. Work with me here, IMDb. Work with me. Oh, he's only got his 4 upcoming things that he's directing. One called Chainsaw. I'm assuming that's the horror film. Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi.
Ooh.
He's in bed with Lucasfilm now. So Juliet, which is Romeo and Juliet from Juliet's perspective, and The Complete Unknown, which is exactly what it is to me. No idea.
Okay. So anyway, going back to indie.
Yeah.
There were maybe you could help me out with one question I had, and it was pretty much the ending.
Spoiler alert. If you need to jump off.
Oh yes, okay. Absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Greg. Jump off right now, or don't listen or fast forward, because I am going to spoil it here because I need to understand a couple of things.
Okay.
Okay. And I don't know if you know. So at the end, well, by the way, this story is about time travel, but I think they do it in a way that it's not dumb, believe it or not.
Okay.
But it's confusing. So I don't understand how continental drift messes up where you would. Okay, this is how I understand continental drift. Continental drift is when our continents drift. They move.
Yeah, they shift. They're moving.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't understand how that stopped him, how he miscalculated and went all the way versus instead of landing where he wanted to in the same time period, he would have just landed in Boston or in the ocean.
Okay. I think when you're dealing with like these time coordinates, right?
Yes.
Is essentially what he was working with.
Right.
And imagine if your watch is like, we're on a 12-hour system that's like, what the world has agreed on, or a 24-hour system, sorry. But back in ancient times, maybe they weren't working on 24 hours. Maybe they were working on, whatever else, I don't know, 10 hours.
Sure.
So your coordinates are going to be different. And so in terms of
continental
drift is just longitude and latitude, but they didn't have that yet.
Okay.
Like, or even go back to like early maps of the United States. They weren't, I mean, early map making was not an exact science at all.
Right.
And so Archimedes didn't know that. He went off the information he had at the time, which is not as good as what they would have had in the 1950s when the film takes place, or it's 1960s. Sorry.
69.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when that happens, and just his settings, like they would have read that compass incorrectly. So not figuring for that, they just didn't, their measurements were off.
Right. I understand all of that. I don't understand how that would jump you from 1939 to 12 BC.
Because if it says that you have to enter the time rift
Yeah.
at a certain altitude or at a certain coordinate,
Right.
without having that corrected, it was just different. Like the instruments on the plane, if it said 10 degrees, whatever, by so many degrees east and west, whatever, on the plane, and
Yes.
they look at the compass and go, okay, yeah, that's what it is. The compass is going by 200 AD time or measurements,
Right.
and not.
I guess what I'm confused about, Greg, is I don't understand how.
Okay.
I understand the compass, direction, longitude, latitude. I understand all that. What you're trying to do is you're trying to find a point to land on or a point to get to.
Yeah.
But I'm not talking about a point, because the way I look at it is, if this is moving and this is the point of my knuckle, right?
Yeah.
But during continental drift, you're actually going here. So they might have landed in the ocean, but it would have been the same
Right.
time period, not
Not
thousands of years ahead.
not in terms of a time travel coordinate. I mean, you're actually looking in a 5-dimensional or a 4th-dimensional space.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna have to toss it up to I'm too dumb to really understand it, and I will just accept it.
and that's the other thing I was going to get to, is like, do you really need to know the scientific reasoning behind this?
I kind of do.
Okay. Well,
it's the only way
I can try to explain it to you later when I get a little bit more information on what was
I
their reasoning
keep
behind it.
reading it. I keep reading it, trying to figure it out.
I mean, I understood it in terms of like, oh, just because there's a land shift, like that changed some, continental ley lines or whatever you want to call it.
Right. Yeah.
It just changed where they would have to enter in that space.
Right.
It's kind of like, making the Kessel run. Like if you're a couple degrees off, you die.
Right. Okay.
You're going, okay.
Yeah. Did you understand that it was Archimedes that originally had them come there? That was the whole point?
No. Like, well, when he said, that's the other thing. So, and this is just me still processing out loud.
Yes.
It sounded like Archimedes didn't give them this ultimate time travel device. They were only going to come back to that point in time.
Yes.
Because the Greeks needed help against the Romans.
Just scare the Romans off.
Yes. And so he's like, so it didn't matter where they would have entered the rift. They were always meant to come back to that time.
Yes.
And that was it.
Yes.
And you go, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I at that point in the film, I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to take this as it comes.
You have to.
It's just,
but
here.
The last thing I want is, I thought when he was like, I want to stay.
Mhm.
I thought, oh my God, he discovered his own self in that tomb. It wasn't Archimedes in that tomb. It was him. I thought they were going to go that route.
Okay.
I did. But anyway, it didn't go that way. So enough with spoilers now. I just wanted to say very quickly, I really enjoyed Phoebe Waller-Bridge as Helena Shaw.
Did you?
I did. I liked her. I thought she was cool. I thought she added something definitely fun, interesting. At first I thought she was annoying, but she grew on me.
She didn't really grow on me. And it's not the actress's fault. I think she did a great job.
Yes.
The character itself didn't grow on me.
Got it.
Like she's an asshole. That's she's a scoundrel. I mean,
she's a scoundrel.
But not a lovable one. I mean, she was just, I mean, she's not Han Solo. She's not a lovable scoundrel. She's not doing things for the right reasons ever. There was,
I'm just gonna say, get off your.
Nope, I don't have to.
Hand in your Boy Scout badge.
Nope,
it's okay.
no, I don't have to.
I don't have to.
I don't have to. I just felt like, I mean,
take my Boy Scout and go home.
Yeah, and
But that's fine. No,
She comes around a little bit at the end, but I'm like, that's gonna still be an issue. So I don't know the future of Indiana Jones films.
I hope there isn't one.
Yeah, there doesn't need to be.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it ends well, and that's it.
They tie up things with Mutt, his son. So there's just enough. Like I think we can be done.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, Harrison Ford has said he's done with the character. He's hanging up the hat. Yeah, he's 80 something. He can't. I mean, and that's the other thing. There were points in the film I'm just like, I don't buy that an 80-year-old dude can do that. So,
okay. I had to look up the huge guy that was in the movie because he looked to me like he was CGI'd big.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I had to look him up. He is 7'2".
Yep.
He's 7. I don't know how much he weighs. It doesn't matter. He is enormous, people.
He's a big, yeah.
I haven't looked him up when I saw him at first. I was like, no, he can't be that real. And then that dude, wow.
Well,
anyway,
I was watching it and knowing the Southern dude, that the
Graham Holbrick,
I mean, he's a 6 foot
Boyd
plus
Holbrick.
Yeah, and he's a 6 foot plus kind of guy, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm like, well, I know he's a bigger guy. That dude is like the mountain big.
Yes.
And sounds like he is.
Yeah, he's a Dutch bodybuilder, I guess. So wow. He was big.
He was a big dude. I liked his character, but he kind of went his exit of the film. You're like,
yes.
Oh, okay. Well, there's that.
Like that's over. Okay. Yeah. Oliver Richards. Rich Turds. I'm sorry, that's not right. Rich Turs.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me look this up.
Richters.
Is
Oliver.
That
I think it's Olivier. Actually.
Olivier?
No, there's not an A.
Who it doesn't have to be. Lawrence Olivier didn't have a hand his name.
It's Olivier.
Who's Oh no, that could be Olivier.
Okay. Olivier Richards.
It's probably just Richards.
Okay. I don't want to say rich. It's not Rich Turds. I'm trying to do the
Ters. So I think it's just Richards. But
okay. Anyway, dude's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, like Greg said at the beginning,
he was Ursa in Black Widow. That makes sense.
Oh, okay. Like Greg said in the beginning, if you go into an Indiana Jones film expecting anything but to just have a good time, you will be disappointed.
Yeah.
I had a good time, and that's all
I honestly went in with my bar very low. My bar was at Crystal Skull level.
Yes.
Which is very low.
Yes.
So I watched it. I mean, and I was like, okay. A little bit of the de-aging process they did on the flashbacks and stuff like that. I thought that was more well done than anything I ever seen. Like the mouth usually trips me up. And here it was more like around the eyes.
Yes.
You can tell around the eyes, or you're like, that doesn't look quite right.
Right. But I liked it. I liked it. Like I said, I'm not in love with it. I liked it. It's good.
To me, it's for me, and this is just my opinion. It's the number 3 in my likes of Indiana Jones.
Okay. That's solid. I don't know where to put it between, because Temple of Doom is a childhood.
That holds a special place for you. And it doesn't for me. So
I don't care where you put the first two, because it's Raiders and it's Last Crusade, and I don't care which one you want to flip and flop. I can agree with both. To me, then I'm on the flippy flop with Temple of Doom and this one.
Yeah.
The last one's Kingdom of Crystal Skull. But this is definitely one that if it's on, I'll leave it on while I fold laundry. I'm not gonna.
Yep.
So
that's
right.
Cool.
Really freaking hot hat. So if you're looking for a warm hat,
I always thought they were leather hats, but they're not. They're hat material.
It's kind of cool. It says indie in there, like this.
So it's a licensed hat. Did you get that at Disney?
No, I got that for like, God, I got that about 10 years ago. My sister Kim got it for me.
Oh, sure.
So, anywho, so we both liked it, which is better than what we thought we would.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have on here. So, Greg,
Mhm.
Superman casting
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
dropped. We got
Good.
Clark Kent. We
Uh-huh.
got
Lois Lane.
and now we got
Jonathan Kent.
which is Superman's dad.
Yep.
Why don't you let us know who they were?
Well, we can start with the big one. Superman is David Cornsweet. I don't really know how to say his last name.
David Corn. Just trying to see what he looks like.
Corenswet. Cornswet. I don't know.
Cornsweet, Superman. Yep, showed up.
So he hasn't done a lot that I've seen. He's in Pearl, which I haven't seen.
He's got a great curl.
He does. Like he looks like Superman.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really not a lot that I've even heard of. He did one episode of Elementary, which was like a modern day Sherlock Holmes. Didn't see that. Something called Hollywood. Sir? What's that?
What do you think?
I think he looks the part. I mean, that's where we're at. And everybody's been kind of like, I got into a little back and forth with my buddy Buzz online because he posted a side by side of this guy and Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
And he goes, so you fire Henry Cavill or show him the door, and then you hire a guy who looks just like Henry Cavill.
Well,
and my back and forth with him was, well, no, this guy and Henry Cavill both look like Superman. I'm like, were you expecting Jonah Hill to be cast as?
Yeah, right.
I mean, no, you're not. So the fact that there's another guy out there that has the same physical features as Superman, or like traditional, like square jaw, do the spit curl, got the hair, the smile. Yeah, I expect them to look alike.
Yeah, I would agree with it. And I also think you got to think of a couple of other things here. He wants to start Superman over, and it seems like it's smart. He's going young. So
yes,
right as he enters Metropolis as a probably 23, 24-year-old journalist trying to do something. And you got to hook him up for at least 20-year run, possibly.
Yeah.
So
this guy is 30. He's 30 years old or close to 30. Oh no, he'll be 30 on July 8th. So he's about to turn 30, probably about to have the best decade of his life.
Yes.
So Henry Cavill is exiting his 30s. He's almost 40 if he's not already.
Right.
So that's, I think, part of the reason for this recasting is they just want a younger guy that they can get more longevity out of.
Correct.
And I mean, Henry Cavill, I think when Hugh Jackman tried to walk away from Wolverine the first time, he was like, I'm heading into my 40s. I don't want to keep doing this kind of movie role.
Yeah.
And then they brought him back for Logan, where they're like, well, you don't have to do like the totally ripped up version of Wolverine. He's going to be older. And now he's doing Wolverine again. He
has to be ripped.
because I think because Ryan Reynolds talked him into it.
Yeah.
With a shit ton of money.
Yes.
So, and Henry Cavill, I did see they're like, well, Henry Cavill's got the build for it. I'm like, he didn't have the build for it.
Go watch that.
Started.
What was that movie he was in?
Immortals.
Yes.
Or Immortal. Maybe it's singular, not plural. But yeah, I mean, he's very, like, naturally, he's very wiry. Like, he's almost got like a runner or a swimmer's build. They packed on the muscle on Henry Cavill. To give him the build that he has as Superman.
Right.
So I don't even necessarily believe that you need to have a guy that's that muscled to play Superman. Superman's an alien. He could just have super strength and look just like a really fit
Would you accept that? Would you be okay with that?
I would. I mean, I would. I mean, because while Christopher Reeve packed on 40 pounds of muscle when he got the role,
You couldn't. Yeah.
You could. He wasn't like, they didn't have the muscle suit. He wasn't showing off his abs. I talked to David Prowse, who was the guy that was in the Darth Vader suit
Yes.
for the filming, and was also he was a British bodybuilder. So he was Christopher Reeve's personal trainer. And so, and I always, like, when I go to conventions and stuff like that, I try to find something interesting to talk about with the people I'm standing in line for, because when you're walking up to David Prowse, who's in the suit for Darth Vader, he's going to be answering Darth Vader questions, Star Wars questions, day after day after the whole count. That's what people are there to see him for. So I come up and I'm like, I said, I read on the internet that you actually were Christopher Reeve's personal trainer when he first did Superman. He's like, oh yeah, I was. Said that you packed on like 40 pounds of muscle on him just in a short amount of time. He's like, yeah, it was just like 4 months. I said, how the hell did you do that? Like, what did you have him doing?
Without cheating.
Well, yeah, I said, without some medical assistance, how were you able to do that? He goes, well, he's like, it was one of the first times, like, in a film that the studio said, hire this guy, a personal chef. We want to control his diet. And then he's like, and honestly, Christopher Reeve was genetically gifted. He's like, you just couldn't get around it. Like, he was made for packing on muscle. He didn't like to pack on muscle. Christopher Reeve really didn't like doing that because he was more of a cyclist and a horseback rider. Like, he wanted that kind of build. He's like, so like, he would get big for Superman and then it would go away. And then before you do another Superman film, he'd pack it back on. Right. I'm like, wow. So anyway, I have no doubt that they're going to work this guy out. The filming doesn't start for, I think, another year.
He's probably already doing it.
So
yeah.
So that's good. I'm happy for him. I'm looking forward to the film.
Yes.
I hear the script is good. Like,
yes.
That's everybody that's read it has been like, this script's amazing. But at the same time, I don't expect them to say anything else. I mean, no one's going to come on and be like, yeah, their script is shit. Anyway, Rachel
Bronsana?
Brosnan? Yeah. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is Lois Lane.
Okay.
For me,
okay.
Yeah. Okay. For me, they haven't had the right casting for Lois Lane since like the TV series with the black and white TV series.
Really?
So yeah.
Okay.
Like,
I prefer the animated version.
Well, yeah, it's along the same lines. Like,
okay.
Like they've never had. They never nailed down the character quite, I think, like they should have. I mean, Margot Kidder at the time, I think people were like, oh, she's perfect. I look at her now, I'm like, she's really not. I mean,
I never liked her.
I met her. She was a very sweet, wonderful woman. Sure. But like, I didn't like her voice. I didn't like, I don't know. There was just something that kind of rubbed me the wrong way with her as Lois.
I understand. It's the same thing that rubs me the wrong way with Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane.
Mary Jane? Okay, yeah.
Didn't like her.
Yeah. And in the castings since then, Kate Bosworth for the Superman Reborn, that didn't fit for me. Not Rachel McAdams. Who was the most recent?
I don't forgot her name.
The Snyderverse.
I get those confused.
The Snyderverse or Lois Lane. Just it
didn't fit with me either.
It didn't seem right. Like she just wasn't Lois-y enough. I don't know. So, but I remember watching Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, where she's got a lot of moxie in that film or in that series. She's soft when she needs to be. She's hard when she needs to be, and she can deliver like hard-hitting lines with a little bit of humor and like this quick wit kind of thing. And I'm looking forward to that. I think that's perfect casting.
Great. Yeah. Good.
So hopefully the director lets her do what she does.
Yeah. Hit your death.
Yep. And hit that. The casting we got today, the news we got today is that Brendan Fraser has been cast as Superman's dad, Jonathan Kent.
Wonderful.
I think that's awesome because
it's going to be great.
And it's almost kind of a full circle thing. When Brandon Routh was cast as Superman in Clark Kent in Superman Reborn, like Brendan Fraser was reading for that role. Like he was up for that role, and they went with Ralph instead. I don't think that's necessarily a bad move
Right.
because I don't think Fraser would have. He was in a bad spot. I don't think he would have delivered as Superman at that point. That's when he was going through a lot of like self growth, we'll call it. So, but seeing him as Pa Kent, like I think he exudes solid but kind fatherly advice. Like it just,
Or you can see him doing it.
yeah. Like
you absolutely can see it.
throw him on a farm in like a flannel, a jean jacket, and a John
Yep.
Deere hat, and you're like, that's Pa Kent.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I agree.
So that'll be good. Interested to see who they get from Ma Kent or Martha.
I'm interested to see Lex.
I've heard a couple casting rumors around Lex.
Mhm.
The two of the Skarsgård brothers are currently reading for it. The oldest and the youngest are reading for it. So the guy who played in True Blood as Eric Northman, he's
Okay.
reading for it, and I think he could be good, but if you saw him in Succession, like sometimes he's just a little too goofy, like just kind of gets this goofy smile on his face. When he played Eric Northman, he was threatening.
Yes.
And when I saw him in The Northman with the
Yes.
Viking film, oh my God, blew my mind. Like really, really good. So I think he can do it, or they're looking at the younger one who played Pennywise.
Or the Marquis
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
John Wick 4. Yeah.
And that, I almost think that's still too young.
I agree. He has, unless James Gunn's planning on playing the long game with Lex.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like in the beginning, like maybe in this movie, he's not going to make Lex the bad guy. Like
Maybe.
You know, I don't know. I think if you have the time, I think it's a smart idea to make him play the long game.
Yeah. Almost like the hidden villain who has a public face.
Correct.
That's the thing about like Lex Luthor pre-1980s. Lex Luthor was more the mad scientist.
Yes.
And then when they relaunched Superman in the 80s through called Superman Reborn, John Byrne did it. Or I'm sorry, Man of Steel. It was called Man of Steel. And when John Byrne recreated Lex Luthor, he made him what was seen as the ultimate evil at that point, which was an American capitalist, like billionaire capitalist businessman.
Yeah.
And that's what he was through the 90s, where he became the ultimate evil, which is an American politician.
Yep.
And now he's like this weird mix. So yeah, I don't know which way they're going to go. I think it's smart for them to do a little bit of each. Like,
yeah,
like maybe not the politician part, but make him a super like billionaire businessman, but also a mad scientist who like knows what he's doing. So
well, I like the whole angle of that was Lex's city until this guy in pajamas shows up.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so there's almost this
Like,
little bit of jealousy, like, no,
yeah.
I'm the king here, not you.
Yeah. I built the city of tomorrow, not
correct.
you.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope they go that route. But yeah, so far I'm gonna give James Gunn the benefit of the doubt because he hasn't really given me anything that makes me go, you don't know this at all.
Yeah, even his like more independent work that he did 10, 15 years ago, I like it. I liked it then. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think he knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, where are we at? We're about almost at an hour already. So or maybe no, we're not. I'm sorry. I signed in earlier, so my clock.
You did.
Yeah. I have a question for you. It's a would you rather, and it's hard. Okay. So here's the would you rather.
Okay.
And you can't get out of it. You have to pick one. So don't give me, I don't want to do it. Just do it. Would you rather know when you die or how you die? I heard this on the radio the other day, and I thought this is interesting. Let me think here. How would I
think?
Yeah, it's basically how long do you want to suffer knowing you're going to die?
Yeah. I think I would probably want to know the how more than the when.
Okay. So at first that was my first thought. And then I thought to myself, if let's say you drowned that means you're never going near any water ever in your life.
You want to go swimming? Nope.
Exactly. So it's literally you're petrified of one thing your entire life.
Yeah.
Knowing the day you're going to die, what I think would be actually worse, because when that day comes, or as that day comes, you are just.
I don't think you're going to be able to think about anything else for the rest of your life.
Right. Or you think, who cares? In 4 years, I'm dead.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you find if someone tells you the when and it's in like a year or two, I think you're going to be a wreck, because you're going to want to do all these things. You're going to want to, as opposed to I don't know.
What if you find out
if it's 50 years from now, you're like, I got time. I mean,
you got time, but it's going to come. You know what I mean? Like,
it's interesting. So I met a woman recently. She just opened up to us. She's got the same dementia that Bruce Willis has.
Okay.
And the doctors have given her like 4 to 7 years.
4 to 7 years of living, or 4 to 7 years of knowing what's going on?
4 to 7 years of living.
Okay.
So she found out, I don't know how many months ago or whatever it was, that, if someone says you have 4 years to live, it's devastating. Like, how do you figure that out? I mean, that means if someone told me that, I'd be like, oh, so I might be dead before my youngest graduates high school. So I don't know. That would be, I think, a rougher thing to try to live with than the how. And but you know what? People live with that kind of news.
Those diagnoses
all
the time. Yeah,
they beat those diagnoses, and really, I hope she does. But
yeah, of course,
the people live all the time, like knowing that they have, so on to live. A woman I went to high school with, she unfortunately recently passed away from a cancer diagnosis. They told her she had 3 years, and I think she made it like 7 or 8.
There you go.
So good for her. And she lived life to the fullest. I mean, that really, if you were to say, did you get all your ducks in a row? It really seemed like she did. And this is just off of her social media posts and stuff that I would read. So
I think it's that when you get a diagnosis like that, I would think it's on the same comparison in terms of there's something of like, just let me talk and then I'll explain. So when you have an old dog and then you introduce a new puppy,
I do.
That dog becomes younger and tends to live a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And I think there's something about the idea of, okay, I got 4 years left. I'm going to maximize it, which in turn means you drop probably a lot of the bullshit that could kill you, like the stress and the worry, because they've done studies where worrying and stress and things that the things like you can poison your own mind with worry and stress, because that's alleviated now, or to an extent. Like, you make up with that one friend you always fought with, and you do this, and when you make up, it makes you feel better, so it's like a little extra get in your giddy up, and it keeps you going. I think that I can see that being a driving force in staying longer. So I hope she finds that. That's all I'm saying. I hope they all find it, whoever gets those diagnoses. So yeah,
interesting question, John.
Yeah, I heard it on the radio. I thought, okay, I'm going to use that on our podcast. I'm going to steal it. Yeah. So I'm going to bring up something that happened to me this week, and I thought it was amazing. I saw a bald eagle in Illinois, which doesn't happen in Illinois.
Yeah.
I think it happens maybe down south in Illinois, but I saw a literally bald eagle where you pretty much should never see a bald eagle. It was just in a regular suburb, and it swooped over, and I was in traffic, so I couldn't get my phone out and take a picture of it.
Yeah.
But I saw this shadow come over my car and look up, and it's huge.
Those things are huge. They're huge.
Just a huge bird. And I was like, oh my God, is that a bald eagle? Because I saw the white head and I saw tail feathers. And I'm like, oh my God, it's a bald eagle. And as I'm looking at it like this, I turn over, I look at this guy, and this guy goes, fucking A. I was like, yes, I know. I'm like, is that a bald eagle? He goes, yeah, fucking awesome. And we couldn't believe it. And then when I got to my destination, I immediately whipped out my phone and said, holy fuck, Greg, I just saw a bald eagle. And Greg's like, yeah, see those all the time up here.
We do. Yeah, in fact, the coolest one I've seen, and we see him flying around, and I live in a more rural area.
Better pick up your damn dogs when you see them.
I'm gonna get to that in a second. The last time I saw a bald eagle, I was driving out. So my mechanic that I go to is like in the middle of the country. Like it's his grandfather's shop that this guy now owns, and they are in the middle of the country.
Wisconsin.
Yeah. Yep.
Wisconsin.
Yep. And so my son and I are driving out there to get something looked at the car, and we see a bald eagle like on a deer. Like the deer is running, and we see like the bald eagle on top of it. It's flapping, and I'm like, did you just see that? And Lex is like, yeah, that was good. And then we're like, okay, I don't know what to do. I'm like, we're down the road a piece now because we're still like, oh my God, I can't believe we saw it. I can't believe we saw it.
Right? It's cool.
Yeah.
When you see, oh my God, when you see that thing, you just can't believe it.
Driving back, we saw the eagles still. I mean, the field had been cleared. This was in the fall. So they got the crops off. And then we see the bird like picking at a carcass. I'm like, oh my God, it like killed a deer. I mean, the deer wasn't huge. I mean, and I didn't see a rack on the deer.
There's a lot of YouTube, Instagrams about eagles taking things down.
Yeah.
And
I was just like, wow, that was something. You mentioned picking up your dog, and I have 2 small dogs now, and not that I'm worried about bald eagles, but we have bears now. We have black bears around us.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
They were spotted kind of in a couple towns over. And just this morning, I got up and I was scrolling through Facebook, and I got on my neighborhood page, and somebody is like, they post like two piles of shit, and I'm like, why would they post it? So that I'm looking at it, I'm reading it. They're like, it's confirmed. This is bear shit. They called it bear scat online, but they're like, I called the DNR. The DNR confirmed it. This is in the field behind our subdivision. So we have black bears like all around.
Don't be running around in a corn maze late.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, so that, I mean, it's a different kind of mentality. You're like, do I need to keep a gun like accessible somewhere? Because like the things that you'd use to shoot a bear are like locked in a cabinet in the basement, maybe. But they're locked up, and I'm like,
you might have to teach your kids to do it too.
I'm like, do I do that? At the same time, people in Wisconsin, like up in northern Wisconsin, they live around these all the time. They're like, they don't bother us. Like they stay away from.
Well, black bears aren't like man eaters.
I think they eat meat, which I mean,
they eat meat. But what I'm saying is, from what I understand, and I could be wrong, I am no bear expert but I remember hearing black bears out of like a grizzly or a polar bear. They won't like. Yeah. They won't track you down.
Try to take down a human.
Yeah.
I don't know. And but
how hungry you are. But
I guess I need to start reading up, because I'm like, we black bears in the neighborhood. So
just so you know, if you find a bear in your backyard and kill it, I don't think that counts as like I hunted down a bear.
No, I don't even know if that's legal. Honestly, I don't think you can just shoot a bear because
I think you can shoot a bear if it's coming after you. Who's going to say
if it's coming after you? But if it's just in your backyard, like sniffing around your fire pit, I don't think you can walk out with a shotgun and.
No, I don't think you can
shoot it.
Somebody will. It was attacking.
Yeah.
No, man, that was stretching. That wasn't an attack.
Yeah,
that was a stretch.
So I don't know. I mean. Excuse me. I know enough people in this area that they're going to be like, comes around here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So,
yeah. All right, man.
Cool.
I don't know if you've watched it. A lot of stuff has dropped. You have not watched Secret Invasion, or have you?
Nope. I've watched one episode. We haven't watched the second.
Good.
One
I want to, when you do it, I want to talk to you about that ending.
okay.
Okay.
That'll probably maybe on the fourth, because we got stuff around here is happening on the third, and then the fourth, I think we're pretty free and clear. So,
I don't know if anybody's out there is watching the final season of Jack Ryan on Amazon Prime. Third season was a little confusing to me. The second season was the best so far. This one's looking pretty solid. It looks like they're actually transitioning to, if a lot of you people are Tom Clancy fans, the Rainbow Six stuff.
oh, really?
Looks like they're transitioning to Rainbow Six. Yeah, they're
Interesting.
already introducing characters that you're like, that dude's from Rainbow, I think.
Okay.
So
interesting. I'm going to disappoint you here.
yes,
I've watched 2/3 of Extraction, and I turned it off.
really.
Or
You like
Extraction 2. Yeah, it's a very flat movie.
okay.
It's I don't know.
I don't know how you
It's-
can say that about that but love John Wick.
That's it's in the same category for me,
Yeah.
but I didn't love John Wick 4.
Okay.
Like,
what's funny
which is like, I love the first one.
Yes.
The second one was okay. I liked the third one because they're more world building around like the high table and all this other stuff. 4, yeah, I just wasn't feeling it as much. And I'm getting the same feeling from this where I'm like, okay, yes, great action scenes, cool. The movie still needs to have some dialogue, and there's just not a lot.
Okay. What do you call it? So John, what's funny was we actually watched John Wick 4. We rented it, watched an hour of it last night after we watched Indiana Jones. Because when Gwen was gone and we were like, let's watch all these movies we've been trying to watch.
Nice.
So we put that in yesterday, and for the first hour, I was like, this is I don't care. Like, this is just, I mean, cool action, it's fine, whatever. But I don't need, like, there's nothing to this. So we were getting tired, and I was like, let's just get it tomorrow. Let's just pick it up tomorrow. Picked it up an hour, and we were an hour and 15 into it when we paused it. Picked it up again today, and it was so much better.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we were tired. I don't know if it picked up in the second half, but
maybe that's me with Extraction too, because I was definitely falling asleep. Like, it was 1 a.m, and I'm like,
oh well, yeah, of course.
So,
dude, by then I don't think I could watch anything at 1 a.m.
Well, sometimes I can, and but maybe it was just the night. I don't know. I mean, it just didn't. It wasn't when Idris Elba showed up. I'm like, oh, cool, and then he goes away. I'm like,
who?
Idris Elba.
Yes.
So I hope he comes back. He hasn't yet. We're at the spot where they I believe they got off the train already, and they were at a building somewhere.
So they're in a building.
Yeah. And I look at Chris, I'm just like, want to turn this off and go to bed? She's like, yeah. So I don't know, maybe I'll finish it tonight.
What was the other thing? And the last thing, Witcher 3 dropped, so I have to watch that.
Yeah.
Haven't
unexpectedly. I had no idea that was coming out.
There's only 5 episodes of it, so I'm not expecting a lot, to be honest.
My daughter was like, Dad, did you know this was the only? No, I had no idea.
Yeah. So a lot of fun stuff to watch. So we have stuff to talk about next week, I'm assuming. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
But
see what I can get to.
If not, people, enjoy your 4th of July.
Yeah.
God bless America. Greg,
Don't be a douche.
there you go. For the Greg, this is Johnny saying thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Podcast out. Have a great week. Take care.
See you guys.